Tommy Tuberville is one of the Trump ass kissers who's carrying water for him, who has this very explicit and very telling story about the way he feels about people who get swept up and what they should do to avoid that.
So, Senator, do you care if U.S. citizens accidentally get detained in ICE raids?
If U.S. citizens?
Yeah, it's been happening a lot. It's been happening a lot with veterans in particular. Yeah.
Well, first of all, don't put yourself in a situation where that happens, okay? And I'm sure with all the illegals we have in this country, you're going to probably have some mistakes happen. That's going to happen. But again, as long as we take care of it the right way, understand they are a citizen, let them go. But again, if you're going to be hanging around people that are not citizens of this country, some things like that are going to probably happen.
Is there anything people can do to take care of themselves? Like, how can they do to prevent that?
Don't hang around illegals.
Okay.
Bottom line, because President Trump has said we're going to go after you, and at the end of the day, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, something bad could happen.
Don't hang around illegals. Don't hang around illegals. You're going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't hang around those people that we've just deemed all criminals. In fact, if you're not here in under an undocumented status, or if you're not doing anything, make sure you don't hang around those illegals. I want you guys to just pay attention to the way this sounds very much like the way we heard about past regimes in other countries and the way they treated certain people in those countries and the folks who might be around them, and how that also suddenly makes you a criminal too. Tommy Tuberville sounds like an effing Nazi. And if he doesn't want to be called a Nazi, I feel like Tommy Tuberville shouldn't talk like a Nazi. Here's one of the guys that apparently was hanging out with the wrong people at the wrong time, except he's a U.S. Army veteran, served the country, and he's only 25 years old. And the guy still ended up with this as his story. This is who Tommy Tuberville just gave a big middle finger to.
George Redis is a U.S. citizen and an Army veteran who works as a security guard at a cannabis farm in California. Redis says he was arrested by U.S. officials last week during an immigration raid at that farm, shown here.
It took two officers to kneel on my back and then one on my neck to arrest me, even though my hands were already behind my back and I was covered in OC spray. They had no coordination going on whatsoever. They were just kind of cuffing people and just sending them away without any information at all. I told them everything. I was a citizen, I worked there, and they didn't care. They still never told me my charges. And they sent me away. They sent me to a place in downtown LA without even telling me what I was arrested for.
After the raid, Redis said he was held at the detention facility for 3 days without explanation. While in jail, he said he missed his daughter's 3rd birthday. Reeling from the stress of his arrest and being separated from his family, Redis said he was put on suicide watch.
So you were getting emotional and they just put you there?
Yeah, I felt like it was the best for myself.
George Redis was swept up because he was hanging around those illegals at work. He was working as security for this cannabis farm that, of course, Donald Trump and Fox News, and specifically Jesse Waters, said an illegal cannabis farm in California where the shit is legal.
Federal agents shutting down an illegal cannabis farm staffed by migrants. But hordes of resistors showed up to fight.
They swept up all these illegals there. Is he one of them? Did anybody thank him for his service? Does he respect the military, or did he call them a bunch of suckers and losers? Because when these stories pop up, you know who doesn't say anything? Anybody in this administration. They say nothing. In fact, they celebrate it more. Or people like Tommy Tuberville say, maybe you shouldn't have hung out with those damn illegals, been doing your job, Army veteran. That's what Tommy Tuberville has to say to this guy, who had more details about what happened to him. On Sunday, an officer had him sign a paper and walked him out of the detention center. He said he was told he faced no charge. So just out of nowhere, after being in that detention center for 3 days, he said he just faces no charges, no explanation, no, hey, yo, my bad. Hey, listen, heads are gonna roll. Why would they say that? They're a lawless organization. A little bit more. He said, they gave me nothing I could wrap my head around, explaining that he was met with silence on his way out when he asked about being locked up for 3 days with no reason and no charges. Tricia McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, confirmed his arrest, but didn't say on what charges. Maybe it's those new charges that come from someone like Tommy Tuberville who said, yo, it's illegal to be around those illegals. Maybe at the grocery store, or sorry, maybe when you're at home, maybe in traffic, maybe walking down the street, maybe buying something from someone. Who knows? It doesn't matter. You can't hang around what you may deem that this ICE agency deems to believe to be illegals. I guarantee you they assumed that George Redis was an illegal, but instead he served the country. Where's the congratulations? Where's the thank you for your service? Where's the respect? When are these conservatives that like to always talk about how you said support the troops, when are you going to start doing it? They don't. They don't give a damn. They hate people like this. Matter of fact, if you serve the country and you're brown, it makes you even worse. It's kind of the history of the country. Here's one of these Nazis that likes to talk about this stuff. And this goes back to the propaganda. You know the story about George Redis there. You know the story about how Tommy Tuberville is talking about don't hang around those illegals because bad things may happen to you. You just have to understand to avoid them because the Gestapo is coming. And they're being led by this guy.
Stephen Miller, is there an internment camp in the Everglades, Miller?
There is an ICE facility that provides a far superior level of housing and accommodation than is available to millions of Americans who are living in Section 8 housing and other low-income areas of our own blighted cities, like Baltimore, like Detroit, like Chicago. How many Americans are living in abominable conditions compared to the pristine conditions of our ICE facilities and our Border Patrol facilities? Look, at every turn, illegal aliens have always been treated better than Americans. The difference is, in this administration, they're getting a ticket out of America so that we can take care of our own people.
So Stephen Miller decided to go on this whole tirade, full of lies again, like usual, because he's a piece of shit. So he said, these folks, it's better than living in the Section 8 housing. Again, talking about this alligator Alcatraz, which is falling apart already, which Democratic officials and representatives has visited already and saw them stashed in these cages, literal cages, 32 men to a cage with one faucet / toilet / toothbrushing site. Because, you know, that's so much better than those Section 8 housings in those big cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, and Baltimore that he likes to talk about. By the way, last I checked, Los Angeles, Baltimore, and Chicago are in the United States of America. Why are you talking so much trash about the United States of America? Why do you hate this country, Stephen Miller? I think you should leave since you don't like it here. Or maybe we have those types of conditions in those cities in Section 8 housing because there's a vast income inequality situation that we've got here, where we continue, as we're doing right now with that bullshit bill that you guys just had passed, and sending more money up to rich people. I think that makes these situations worse. But, you know, who cares? Stephen Miller has to talk about brown people and how horrible they are. But these are pristine conditions with one toilet / faucet for 32 people in a cage, according to Stephen Miller. You know why Stephen Miller said that? Because Stephen Miller is a Nazi.
Do you have any idea how many resources will be opened up for Americans when the illegals are gone? No more waiting in line at an emergency room? No more massive traffic in Los Angeles? Your health insurance premiums go down? Your public school classroom size will shrink dramatically. They have more time to educate every student. You won't have to compete for public benefits. If you're down in your luck, you're having a hard time, and you do need to get support from the government, you're not going to be in line behind millions of illegal aliens from the third world. This is going to be such a gift to the quality of life of everyday Americans, Jesse. It's hard to even express the wonders that await for working people.
Well, I mean, you had me at no traffic in LA. If you guys can get that message broadcast loud and clear over there, I mean, I think you'll have a lot of those people in LA saying adios themselves.
Think about how much better your life would be. Now, by the way, before you think about that stuff that he was just saying, think about what they told you they're going to be doing. Deporting all the illegal, violent rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and traffickers. Remember that? But now it has something to do with getting rid of children that are in your schools, getting rid of folks to alleviate your traffic problems in LA. Your life will be so much better. And if you find yourself down on your luck, as Stephen Miller said, you're going to go to those programs. Oh, I'm sorry, they're cutting all those programs that in case you're an American who's down on his luck and you might have to go take in some of the money that you gave for years for those benefits, all those things that they've always said about those programs that they're getting rid of now. in case you're down on your luck, you might still be able to go back and be given a middle finger and called lazy, like they're doing right now. None of it makes any sense if you actually continue to listen to what these guys say.
But look, at the end of the day, what this really comes down to is this, Jesse. Who lives in your country determines what your country is, right? Haiti doesn't work as a country. Like, it just doesn't. People have tried forever. People have spent billions of dollars trying to make Haiti work as a project. Haiti doesn't work. If you take Haiti and you move it to America, it's not going to work here. Somalia doesn't work as a country, has never worked as a country. You take Somalia out of Somalia, you put it here, it's not going to work any better. It's not about how you feel about an individual immigrant. It's about the policy at a systemic scale. If you move the third world to the first world, eventually we become the third world. And that's not good for us. It's not good for anybody who wants to live here in the future.
You can't import the third world into the first world and expect it not to be the third world. I feel like there's this guy who he works with who denied saying he's called other countries whole countries, which of course he has. I mean, the guy just went on Fox News and explained that very clearly. Oh, and I think he's forgetting that those countries that they like to talk about being third world countries, all of these colonizers, all these leeches went in years and centuries and decades ago, which continues to this day, and extracted all the resources from them, enslaved the people of that, completely destabilized the country, destroyed its opportunities for itself. And then after you then, have a coup that destroys your ability to continue to enslave the folks that live there, you take off and say, can you believe this trash country that we just trashed is trash? It must be the people. Or maybe it's the colonizers who came in and were too lazy to work for themselves, or also too lazy to find ways to make money in their own countries. These immigrants ran up in Haiti, everything up, and then after they did that, they call the people that they did this to garbage human beings and third world humans that aren't allowed to come here and better our country because they might bring their destruction with them, the destruction that we placed on their heads. Stephen Miller is a garbage human being. What the number one thing in all these white supremacist mindsets is white supremacy. So none of it actually works. So as he and his buddy continue to destroy the country and say that other countries are destroyed, some of those factors that destroy countries are dictatorial leaders, people who manipulate the economies and also strip their citizens of their rights. That's how you become a third world country. Because, after those colonizers leave, or I'm sorry, are forced out through rebellion, there's always political unrest and a battle for power. And that also disrupts these countries.